Let's continue with this overview or explanation about the similarities or differences between the three macronutrients. And in this particular video, we will be talking a little bit more about function and the characteristics of the structure of these three molecules. Let's start with the function. These molecules in general, they have different functions. They are very important for our body, different functions, not only as nutrients. In this slide, we are referring to their major function as nutrients. For carbohydrates, the major function is source of energy. They are the primary source of energy, whereas fatty acids and triglycerides in the group of lipids, they are used as secondary source of energy. Lipids, other lipids like cholesterol, phospholipids, they are also very important building blocks of our body. So in all cells or cell membranes, we have cholesterols, we have phospholipids, and fatty acids are building blocks for phospholipids. So they are also important building blocks of our body. And these two are major functions for lipids in general. For proteins, even though we can use proteins as a source of energy, this is not the main or the major function of proteins as nutrients. The major function for these molecules are really protein turnover. It means we will use the amino acids in the proteins from our diet to create the proteins that we need. And these are important as building blocks of our body to create cells, tissues, muscles, etc. In general, all then has other functions. For example, proteins, yes, we do use use them as sources of energy, but we use them as source of energy only when the amount of carbs or fats is not enough, or for some reason we are forcing our body to go on proteins as a source of energy, or in some activities, long-term energy activities like a marathon, etc., we will use also proteins as a source of energy. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, they are also important for maintaining blood glucose levels. Carbohydrates also help us to spare protein. It means if we have the adequate amount of carbohydrates in our diets, as well as lipids, we will reserve proteins for their main function, which is protein turnover. And lipids, well, they help us to keep body temperature. Cholesterol, it does not give us energy, but is important, an important precursor of other molecules in our body, like sex hormones, bile, etc. And then some vitamins depend on fats to be transported. They are insoluble in water and they are fat soluble, and these vitamins are vitamin A, D, E, and K. So fat has a function also in transporting different vitamins. In terms of the structure, well, when I refer basic structure, I'm talking about the building blocks for this molecule. For carbohydrates, the most simple structure we can have, and the one that we use as building blocks for our for carbohydrates in general, are the monosaccharides. In the case of proteins, the basic structure or the building blocks for these molecules are the amino acids. And in the case of fats, well, we really didn't talk about a specific basic structure, although fatty acids are the building blocks for the other two molecules. So I would say, let me write fatty acids in uppercase, just to call your attention that they are really building blocks of other molecules like phospholipids, and triglycerides. In terms of some examples, well, some examples that we cover in class, we talk about, for example, some monosaccharides, We refer in class glucose, fructose. We also talk about some disaccharides in our diet, like lactose, sucrose. We also talk, for example, about maltose, which is a disaccharide of glucose units. So when we break down bonds in starches, and we get shorter fragments, we will get these disaccharides also as part of these fragments. And then we talk about polysaccharides. And in these polysaccharides, we refer to glycogen, we refer to starches, and we also mention fiber. In the case of fats, well, for example, we talk about omega-3 and 6, omega-3 and 6, and these are fatty acids, so fatty acids. Fatty acids. And then we didn't talk about specific name for triglycerides and cholesterol and phospholipids. And for proteins, we didn't cover an example. I just said, for example, during the class, that they are everywhere. We have antibodies, our enzyme, our antibodies, sorry, they are proteins, some enzymes, or enzymes in general, they are proteins, some hormones like insulin, they are proteins. So we really didn't mention specific proteins in our nutrition, but we talk about how important they are in terms of their functions and processes in which they are involved. And another difference is, or similarities are in their composition. All these molecules, they contain carbon, and that's the reason we refer to them as organic molecules. They also contain hydrogen and oxygen as part of the structure. And something that is different in proteins in comparison to the other two macronutrients is that proteins, they do contain nitrogen. And this is something that is not found in carbohydrates and fats or lipids. Some proteins also can contain sulfur, but it depends on the proteins. It's not in all proteins. But all proteins, they do contain nitrogen because this is a chemical element in the amino group found in amino acids. Then the other comparison we can make is about the digestion. But to do so, I will do another video. So check out the other video that follows this presentation, and let's talk then about what's the differences or similarities or the characteristics of digestion of these three macronutrients.